Surrey home prices just dropped as much as $300,000 in 2 years. And if you think that's the bad news, you've got this completely backward. Because just weeks ago, the city of Surrey quietly adopted a 30-year plan to grow to 1 million people, overtaking Vancouver as the biggest city in British Columbia. And it's spelled out in black and white exactly where all that growth is going to land. So here's exactly who this video is for. If you're planning to buy in Surrey in the next year or two, whether that's your first place or your move up home or a rental that actually pays you back, I'm handing you the 3 neighborhoods that I would put my own money into right now while prices are still down. We're going to talk about the real benchmark numbers, how far each of these markets has fallen, and more importantly, the catalysts that are about to flip them back up. One of them is landing a 10,000 seat arena and a brand new medical school. One is the single biggest value gap in the entire Fraser Valley. And the third, almost nobody is talking about it, which is exactly why it might be the smartest buy on this list. You only get one chance to buy or sell your next home. Let's get it right. But before I run through a single one of them, you need the filter that I'm running all 3 of these through, because cheap and good investment are not the same thing. And mixing those two up is exactly how people lose money in real estate. So here's the mindset shift. Most people buy a home with their heart and investment with their calculators. But the smartest purchase that you'll ever make is the one that actually does both. A place that you'd actually be happy living in that also makes you money in the background. And finding that is simpler than people make it. You buy what everybody else wants and they will always compete for. Think about what the renter wants. Now think about what the buyer of that particular property might want. It's the exact same list. Quick access to transit, walking distance to shops and restaurants, good schools, jobs close by, and that feeling of being near where things are actually happening. That demand is what protects your price when the market dips, and it's what launches it when the market runs. Convenience is the asset, but there's a second layer, and this is one of the most important one that people miss completely. In a city growing as fast as Surrey, you don't just want to be near the amenities that you already know about, the ones that already exist. You want to be standing on the land that's about to become something bigger. A tired single-story strip mall or an old sprawling townhome complex sitting on a massive lot, tons of green space near a town center. That's not just a building. That's a redevelopment site waiting to happen. And the gap between what that land is used for today and what that land is now allowed to become tomorrow, that's where the real money is made. Which is what makes this exact moment in time so interesting. Prices are down across the board. The demand fundamentals haven't moved an inch, and just weeks ago, the city of Surrey put its entire 30-year growth plan in writing. So let's talk about that plan, because it tells you precisely where this all points to. Okay, the plan. On June 15th, Surrey adopted a brand new 30-year blueprint called Surrey 2050. And I'm not going to bury you in policy because most of it won't touch your wallet, but 3 things in it absolutely will. The first is the headline. Surrey is planning for 1 million people. It's currently sitting at just over 700,000 a day, which means the city is bracing for roughly 300,000 more residents. And the number of homes is set to climb from about 195,000 to over 300,000. Play that back. More people fighting over homes in a place that is not building fast enough to keep it up. That is the entire ballgame. The second thing, and this is the one savvy buyers are already circling, the city didn't scatter that growth evenly. It's deliberately aimed the density at land near transit and town centers, something it's calling complete communities. So this isn't a guessing game about which corners of Surrey get bigger. The city told you. It drew the map. Your job is just to buy on the right side of it. And the third thing is the quiet one that actually creates the opportunity. To hit these targets, Surrey simplified the rules and opened up huge stretches of old low-density land for townhomes, row homes, low-rise apartments, high-rise apartments, often without the years of red tape that often used to hold it all up, which means some of those tired strip malls or that sprawling old townhouse complex that we just talked about, a lot of that land is now legally allowed to become something 4 or 5 times bigger. That's what turns an ordinary lot into a redevelopment target. And it's happening right now while prices are still soft. So put it all together. Record growth, a printed map of where it's going, and the green light to build on exactly the kind of underused land that's about to get really expensive. That's the setup. Now, let's talk about the 3 neighborhoods that sit dead center of it all, starting with the one that's actually turning in to Surrey's actual downtown. First up, Central City, better known as Whalley. And if your goal is straight up appreciation, buying something today that's worth meaningfully more in 10 years. This is the top of the list because Whalley isn't just another neighborhood in Surrey. It's becoming Surrey's and eventually British Columbia's new downtown, the place to be. So let's talk price because this is where it gets interesting. A detached home in Whalley right now sits at a benchmark of about $1.2 million. 2 years ago, it was pushing 1.5 million. So that's roughly $300,000 right off the top. On the other side of things, a condominium around $394,000 today, at least at the day of filming this, down close to $100,000 from just 2 years ago. Sit with that for a second. The place the entire city is building its future downtown around just went on sale. And here's the part that should really make you lean in. You can still buy a detached house almost right in the core here or just outside of it. A piece of land with a house on it, walking distance to what's about to become Surrey's downtown. Now, think about what that land is going to be worth when 1 million people live in this city. Imagine someone buying a lot like that near downtown Vancouver 50 years ago. Nobody blinked at the price back then, and look what happened. That's the bet you're being handed here, except the before picture is still on the table. Now, here's why that discount won't last. Whalley is already the transit anchor for the whole region. 3 SkyTrain stations on the Expo line, and it's the launch point for the multi-billion-dollar SkyTrain extension out to Langley, set to be finished in 2029. But it's the wave of investment that's landing on top of that transit really changes the math. The city is doing massive projects, not only just residential, but things like it's building a $360 million 10,000 seat arena right across from Surrey Central Station, the new home of the Vancouver Giants, anchoring a whole entertainment district with a hotel and conference space. Simon Fraser University is opening a brand new medical school here, the first in Western Canada in 50 years. UBC, or University of British Columbia if you're unfamiliar, is assembling land for a satellite campus for 10,000 students. And the towers are already under construction, and you've got thousands of students, doctors, researchers, and professionals who are all going to need somewhere to live right here. So who's Whalley for? It's for the buyer who wants a foot in Surrey's future downtown and is happy owning a concrete condo near the SkyTrain while the area transforms around them. If you're trading big square footage and a big backyard for location, walkability, and like I said, there's still detached homes, but effectively you're kind of trading big square footage elsewhere and maybe a backyard for things like location, walkability, and the strongest long-term appreciation story on this list. If you're an investor chasing renters who will always have jobs in transit at their doorstep, or a buyer who wants to own downtown before it fully becomes downtown, this is the pick. Now, one frank note, because I'm not here to sell you a fantasy, a lot of this is condos and presale towers. So build timelines and interest rates matter, and you want to buy quality in the right building, not just anything with a crane next to it. The direction is not in question. That's the appreciation play. But what if you don't want a condo? What if you want land? Well, that's exactly where location number 2 comes into play. Next up is Newton. And if Whalley is the appreciation play, Newton is the opportunity play, because this is where you get the most land for your dollar, sitting closest to a town center that's about to be completely rebuilt. And that gap is one of the biggest in the entire Fraser Valley. Let me be clear about something right away, because the price picture here surprises people. A detached home in East Newton sits at a benchmark of about $1.38 million. And yes, that's actually the highest of the 3 neighborhoods in today's video. So Newton isn't cheap, but here's the thing that you're not paying for the house. You're paying for the land underneath it, because Newton is an old community. And that $1.38 million is often buying you a big sprawling lot, the kind of oversized parcel you simply can't get near Whalley's core anymore. And if you want a lower entry point, the townhomes and condos deliver it. A condo benchmark is around $436,000 right now, down about $70,000 from just about 2 years ago. And brand new 3-bedroom townhomes are pre-sailing for under $820,000, which is a real discount to what you pay for one in a neighborhood, let's say over in Fleetwood. So the opportunity in Newton isn't a bargain price tag, it's a use of land mismatch. This is an old neighborhood full of exactly what we're talking about earlier: sprawling townhome complexes on enormous lot, tired single-story strip malls. Think about King George Boulevard as an example. Big pieces of ground sitting nowhere near their highest and best use. Under the new plan, a lot of that land is now cleared to become 4 or 5 times denser. So when you buy detached here, you're really buying land in a town center that the city is just greenlit to transform. The high number isn't the warning, it's the whole thesis. And the catalyst behind behind it are massive. Newton is getting a brand new $310 million community center, an Olympic-sized pool, a doubled library, the works. It sits right on King George Boulevard rapid transit line, which will cut the trip to Surrey Central to under 15 minutes. And the city and TransLink have partnered on a 41-acre master plan to completely redevelop the Newton Town Center. Thousands of new homes, parks, and a proper high street where a dated mall sits today. This isn't a maybe. The shovels are already moving. So who is Newton really for? Well, it's for the buyer who understands that land near a growing town center is the real asset. The person happy to own a big lot or a well-priced townhome in a neighborhood mid-transformation. It's for the young family that wants space near good schools and parks without the downtown price tag. And it's for the patient buyer who gets that the ground they're standing on is worth more tomorrow than it is today. Now, the honest caveat, a chunk of Newton's upside rides on that rapid transit line, getting fully built and funded on schedule, and big master plans take years to fully play out. But owning underused land in a town center the city is actively rebuilding, that's about as clean as the setup gets. And that brings us to the third location on our list, which is Guildford. This is the pick almost nobody puts on a list like this, and that's exactly why I want you paying attention right now. Because staring at the SkyTrain and the arena, Guildford is silently doing the thing that's often the safest play of all. It already works. So before I kind of break down what I mean by that, let's talk about price. A detached home in Guildford sits around the benchmark of about 1.1 million, the lowest detached number of the three on today's lists, and down roughly $250,000 over the last 2 years. Condos are around 482,000, off about 80,000 from 2 years ago as well. So you're getting into an established, fully built out community at a real discount. And unlike the other two, you're not buying a promise of what the neighborhood will become. You're kind of already buying what it already is. And what it already is convenient. Guildford is built around one of the most productive shopping malls in the entire country, surrounded by restaurants, services, parks, and schools, everything a renter or a family actually wants, already in a place that is walkable and ready to move into today. But the density here is going to increase like crazy over time. Now, it sits right over Highway 1, so you're connected to the whole region, and it's a quick, frequent bus ride into Surrey Central and the SkyTrain. Now, here's the honest part, because I promised you honesty for today's video. Guildford is the one neighborhood on this list that isn't getting its own SkyTrain or rapid transit line. And that trade-off that you're weighing, but it's also exactly why prices are gentler and it's generally well connected without it. And here's the silent catalyst most people miss. Under the new plan, the corridor along 104th Avenue has been opened up for mid-rise development, and builders are already moving. They're snapping up older single-family lots and putting up 6-story condo buildings with new pre-sales completing right now. The city is also planning 2 brand new schools to handle the families moving in. So Guildford is densifying too, just in a lower key wood frame way instead of a skyline of towers. So who's Guildford for? It's for the buyer who wants the lowest risk entry on this whole list. Steady, reliable rental demand, an established neighborhood, and all of that with none of that wait 5 years for it to get built uncertainty. It's for the first-time buyer or the young family who wants walkable, convenient living without a downtown price tag. And it's for the investor who values a tenant who never leaves, because everything they need is right there. Now, the honest caveat is just the flip side of its strength. Without a dedicated rapid transit line, Guildford's upside is steadier rather than explosive. But if you want a place that pays you reliable rent from day one while it slowly densifies around you, Guildford is the smart, quiet pick. So let's put this all together, because there's one idea sitting underneath all three of these neighborhoods, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Surrey is about to add 300,000 people. But the amount of land near the SkyTrain, near the town centers, near where life actually happens, that number doesn't grow. It's fixed. And when demand climbs for 30 years against a supply of land that can't, there's only one direction that value of land goes. Which is why these 3 picks aren't really 3 different bets. They're 3 doors into the same one. Whalley, if you want the strongest appreciation and you're happy owning near the future downtown. Newton, if you want the most land and the biggest redevelopment upside, sitting in an old town center that's about to be rebuilt. And Guildford, if you want the lowest risk, pays you from the day one option in a place that already works. Different buyers, same underlying trends though, right? So here's what you need to know. If you're buying for returns, to build equity, to have a tenant who never leaves, to own something the whole region is moving towards, you want to be close to the transit, close to the town centers, close to the noise and the cranes and the growth. That is where the money is. But if you actually want quiet, privacy, and that is completely a valid thing to want, then you go to the opposite. You go further out, away from the main roads and the stations, and you buy the lifestyle instead of the appreciation. Just know which one you're choosing and buy on purpose, because in a city growing this fast, the worst move is standing still while the map gets drawn around you. And if you're wondering what the Surrey 2050 plan really changes, the truth is it's massive. It's a complete shakeup of how this community gets built, how we build, where we build, huge density changes, and a whole lot more. If you want the full breakdown, including 2 brand new communities coming to Surrey that don't even exist yet, the good news is that video is coming up right now. Surrey is being built for a version of itself that feels like a stranger, and it's arriving faster than you might think. By 2050, this city is projected to be home to 1 million residents. That isn't just a number on a page, it's a total transformation of the streets you drive on, the neighborhoods you live in, and the skyline you wake up to.